This happened to me a few years ago while I was still in college, but I've been watching a ton of those narrated true stories on YouTube and felt compelled to share my own experience. For some context, I'm Irish and was studying in the UK to get my bachelor's degree. I don't know how common this is elsewhere, but where I lived, it seemed to be common enough that landlords renting to students privately would convert the front downstairs room into an extra bedroom. This is where my bedroom was for my first year. I didn't mind it too much, but it was a bit weird having the front door directly in my room, and especially since, for those who aren't familiar with terraced houses in the UK, there isn't a front garden usually, and we just had a small section separating the front door from the path outside. By now, I'd been living here for a few months, and I could recognize the difference in the sound of someone walking past on the path and the sound of someone stepping towards the front door. On the night that this happened, I was totally alone in the house as both my housemates were away home for the weekend. This was a little unusual, since neither of them usually went home, except for special occasions, but I think it might have been Valentine's Day around that time, or something similar. It was about 1 a.m, and I was lying in bed and on the phone to my boyfriend at the time, as we were long distance. As we're talking, I could hear some footsteps outside and immediately recognized that it was someone right outside the door. I kept listening and could just hear them shuffling around a bit, and then they started fumbling with the door handle. That spooked me, and I told my boyfriend that I was going to have a quick look out the window to see if I could spot whoever it was. I get up and part the curtains and quite literally pressed my face and hands against the window to get a look outside, since it was pitch black by now and the street lights had been turned off. It took a second then for me to realize what I was looking at, but whoever it was who was outside was doing the exact same thing that I was, pressed up against the window and staring in at me, inches away. I didn't scream, I just felt as if all the wind had been knocked out of me, and I remember feeling like someone had just dunked me into a pool of ice water. Whoever it was looked to be male. I couldn't see his face properly, but I just remember he was wearing a hoodie. He ran when he saw me, and after trying to collect myself, I quickly told my boyfriend, and then rang the police. I don't remember how long it took for them to get there, but there wasn't a whole lot they could do. I think they might have done a quick patrol of the area, but nothing ever came of it. It was absolutely one of the most terrifying things that's happened to me, and I can't figure out at all why he was trying to break in. At the time, I had my light on, which would have been visible from the window even with the curtains drawn, so I figured I could rule out that he was a junkie or squatter looking for a place to crash. I don't know if maybe he'd been watching me and my housemates for a while, seeing 3 girls living alone, and thought maybe this would make an easy burglary, or worse. But thank God I didn't have any trouble again afterwards. I couldn't sleep for days after. I remember staying up until the early morning just watching movies on my laptop to feel less alone, until I eventually fell asleep from exhaustion once it started to get light outside. Since I was here from Ireland, I didn't even have any family members close by who I could call for, or go and stay with. And it was the most agonizingly long weekend of my life, waiting for my housemates to come back. I definitely think I've developed a slight phobia now of looking out the window while it's dark outside.